Among them, a massive Mongol, with his left eye sewn shut. It was obvious who was in charge. The others were hardened veterans, dark armor, faces scarred by 1,000 battles. They had that empty stare of men who had killed too much. The group tore through the plaza, hooves striking cobblestone. People emerging from all sides. Some abandoned their work, others stopped dead. The curious scrambled to high ground to get a better look. The one with the sewn eye dismounted. His men stayed mounted. He produced a black bag and held it aloft.
5 taels a month.
The Khan seeks a caretaker. 5 taels of silver a month. Murmurs, nudges. The circle tightened. The job is in the Forbidden Mountains. Like spilled water, everyone recoiled. Some fled. Others just vanished into the shadows. In seconds, the plaza was empty. I was the only one left. The man with the sewn eye studied me. His men tightened their reins. Why don't you run like the rest? Because I haven't had work in 14 months. My mother hasn't gotten out of bed since the rains. 5 taels is 5 taels. He nodded. He respected desperation. He knew it well. The job is feeding a possession of the Khan in the northern mountains. He tossed me the bag, heavy, real. Then a sealed parchment. Report to the Blackstone guard post within 5 days. They'll explain the rest there. I did the math fast. 2 days by cart to the river, 1 by barge, another to Blackstone. 4 days if everything went right. What kind of possession? I asked. The kind that eats fresh meat every 3 days. Don't be late. It doesn't like to wait. And they were gone. I stood alone in the plaza. Bag of tails in one hand. Imperial seal in the other. I don't know if I should have taken this job. I returned home with the bag of coins. Its weight in my hand felt unreal. My mother was lying down, back to the door. She didn't move when I entered, but I knew she was awake. I got a job, Mother, I told her. She turned slowly. Her eyes, sunken and lifeless for months, locked onto the bag I held. 5 taels a month, and they paid the first one in advance. She tried to sit up, propping herself on an elbow. A dry cough racked her body. For a split second, I saw a glimmer of the woman she used to be before the rains. Where? She asked, voice hoarse. The northern mountains. A job for the Khan. The spark in her eyes died out. She fell back onto the pallet and grabbed my wrist. Her fingers were cold and bony, but her grip had the strength of desperation. Son, she whispered, when they pay in advance, it's because they don't expect you to come back. It's the law of cursed jobs, and just superstitions, Mother. We need the money. I'd rather have a poor son than a dead one. I dreamed of crows at the door last night. Don't go. I took 3 coins from the bag and set them on a plank beside her. The clink of metal on wood was the only sound in the room. I'll tell the neighbor to bring you soup every day, I said, avoiding her gaze. She didn't reply. I leaned down and kissed her forehead. It was cold, like stone. I put on my best clothes and turned to leave. You're coming back, she said to my back. Her voice wasn't a whisper anymore. It was an order. Stubborn fools like you always come back. As I walked out the door, I heard her cough again. A deep, shattered cough. I didn't turn around. I knew if I did, I wouldn't leave. Two days by cart. The road was dust and ruts. Shared the space with merchants talking prices and harvests. Nobody asked where I was headed. Nobody asks when you have the look I had. Third day, we hit the river. Barge was loaded to the brim. Squeezed myself between grain sacks and barrels. The water was brown and fast. The northern mountains loomed on the horizon like teeth of stone. An old man on the barge eyed my pack, then my face. Blackstone? He asked. I nodded. May the gods go with you, boy. He didn't say another word. The barge dropped me on the north shore. From there, another ox cart. The driver was a man with no tongue, literally. He signaled to the back, and we headed up the mountain road. The air turned cold. Vegetation vanished. Nothing but gray rock and snow on the peaks. 4 days, just as I'd calculated. The black stone guard post appeared at dusk. A black stone tower driven into the hillside like a thorn. 2 guards at the entrance in Khan armor, spears crossed. I stepped off the cart. The ox driver did not wait. He left without looking back. I approached the guards, pulled out the parchment with the red seal. One of them looked at it, then looked at me. "You're the caretaker." It was not a question. Yes. The other guard spit on the ground. Last one lasted 3 weeks. "What happened to him?" I asked. "He left. Middle of the night, left everything behind." They found him 2 days later in the valley, dead from the cold. Said he was running barefoot. The first guard unrolled a map and showed it to me. "Go up this path. 2 hours on foot. You'll see the camp. The prison is carved right into the rock. The spears parted. The dangerous path was waiting for me." The trail was not a path. It was a scar on the rock. I started climbing. The fog closed in around me, gray and damp. Could barely see 3 steps ahead. The path narrowed. To my right, a rock wall. To my left, nothing. Just empty space. I could not see the bottom. Only heard the wind howling from below. Every step was a decision. The pack was heavy. Threw me off balance. Thought about taking it off, but if I fell, I was falling with everything. A bridge. Rotten wood over a ravine. Broken planks. Frayed ropes. It swayed in the wind. There was no other option. I took a step. The wood creaked. I froze. The bridge swung. Another step. Another creak. Halfway across, a plank snapped under my boot. My foot dropped into the void. I grabbed the ropes. Hands burned. The pack dragged me backward. I pushed myself forward, jumped, landed on the other side. The bridge shook violently behind me. I breathed. The path kept climbing, narrower, more dangerous. Snow on the ground now. Ice on the rock. My boots were slipping. I grabbed onto anything. Cracks in the stone. Dead roots. Whatever I could find. The wind was pushing me, trying to rip me off the mountain. 2 hours, the guard had said. I'd been at it for 3, and then I saw it. Through the fog, a shape, structures, the camp. Fog cloaked everything. Something stirred near the fire pit. A man, old, long, matted gray beard, shredded clothes, animal skins draped over his shoulders, a staff in his hand. He was watching me. He said nothing, just stared. I moved closer, the backpack heavy on my shoulders. I'm Marco. The relief, he just kept staring, sunken eyes, empty. I looked around, plates covered in black mold piled by the tent, a wooden bucket of dried fish, and the water barrel. It had a green film floating on top. This man had stopped being a man a long time ago. "How long have you been here?" I asked. 6 months. His voice was a broken whisper. He stood up, slowly, like every movement was pure pain. "You can go now," I told him. "Yeah." He didn't move. What am I guarding? He didn't answer. He just turned and walked toward a cloth sack lying on the ground. He picked it up. It was all he had. "I need to know what's in there," I insisted, pointing at the prison. He stopped, looked back over his shoulder. "No, you don't need to." "Then tell me what I need to do." He walked to the wooden bucket, pulled out a dried fish, held it up. "Give it fish. Dried, 1 a day, mornings. Leave it in front of the bars. Do not get any closer." "Why?" He didn't answer. Dropped the fish back in the bucket. He started heading for the trail. "The Khan's emissaries come every month," he said without looking back. "They bring supplies. For you. For her." "Why are you running off so fast?" I shouted. He stopped, dropped the sack, rolled up his sleeves, his arms. 4 deep gouges, shoulder to wrist. Old scars, but deep. Like something with claws had dragged him. "It belongs to the Khan," he whispered. "State secret. You talk about this. They hang your mother, everyone you know." He picked up the sack. He just stood there, staring me down. Those empty eyes held something else now. Fear. "One more thing," he said. "Don't look her in the eyes. Ever." "Why?" "Because they're beautiful. Hypnotic. I did it. I froze. Didn't realize how close I'd gotten until it was too late. That's when she attacked." I swallowed hard. And another thing. Wolves. They come down from the mountains at night. Keep the fire burning at all costs. If they show up, grab a burning log. It's the only thing that'll stop them. And if the fire goes out, he didn't answer. His silence was answer enough. He didn't wait for a reply. He took off down the trail. A grown man, sprinting down that mountain like a terrified child. I was alone. The wind died. And then, I heard it. Chains, dragging, slowly, heavy breathing deep, and something scratching against the stone. Rhythmic, steady, like it was counting. I stood there staring at the bars. The sound had stopped. The chains, the breathing, everything. Silence. I looked around. The camp was mine now. The ripped tent, the fire, barely alive, the bucket of dried fish. I needed to get organized. I started with the fire, tossed on more wood. The flames shot up. The heat hit me right in the face. I cleared away those moldy plates, tossed them into the ravine. The water barrel was rotten. I emptied it. I'd have to wait for rain or melt snow. I worked until the sun started to drop. The fog thickened. And then it hit me. I had to feed her. I went to the bucket, pulled out a dried fish, lightweight, smelled like salt, and thyme. I walked toward the prison. The bars were thicker up close, black iron, rusted. Inside, just darkness. Give it fish, leave it in front of the bars, do not get any closer. I stopped 2 steps from the entrance, placed the fish on the ground. I waited. Nothing. I turned to leave, and then I heard it. Movement. Slow. Something dragging itself across the stone. I froze. Chains rattled. Closer, I didn't turn, I didn't look. I heard something snatch the fish. A dry sound. Quick. And then, nothing. Just the wind. Something was there. Right behind the bars, a soft sound. Claws on stone. The fish vanished from the ground. Fast. I made it back to the fire. Sat on the ground. The stone was cold. Night fell fast. The cold cut right through my clothes. I wrapped that tattered blanket around me. It wasn't enough. My hands were shaking. What the hell was that? The guardian had said, creature. But creatures don't drag chains. Animals don't scratch stone. Rhythmically. A tiger would already be at the bars, roaring, trying to get out. I tossed more wood on the fire, looked toward the bars. 2 green dots, glowing in the darkness. Eyes, watching me. I didn't move, neither did the eyes. I don't know how much time passed. Could have been a minute, could have been an hour. Finally, they blinked and vanished. I kept staring into the empty darkness. The fire crackled, the wind howled. I closed my eyes, but I couldn't sleep, because I knew that creature, or whatever it was still there, watching, waiting. Dawn broke cold, gray. The fire was just ashes. I got up, my body ached. I approached the cell, left the dried fish on the ground, right by the bars. I saw a shadow move inside, fast, nothing else. I stumbled back to the ashes. Exhaustion was a beast on my shoulders. The journey, the sleepless night, the cold. I sat down, tried to keep my eyes open. I failed. Sleep just took me. I jolted awake. A guttural scream. A wild yowl coming from the cell. It wasn't human. It wasn't animal. It was something else. Night had fallen. The fire was dead. I shot to my feet, looked toward the trail. A pair of eyes, then 4. A pack. Wolves. The guardian warned me. Use the fire, he'd said. There was no fire. Panic froze my blood. The wolves were getting closer, slow, steady. I looked at the cell door, the key. My only option. Get torn apart out here, or go in there. My hands were shaking. Pulled out the key, dropped it, cursed. Scrambled to pick it up. The metal was freezing. Jammed it into the lock. Twisted. The sound of that bolt sliding open. It was the loudest thing I'd ever heard. I shoved the door. It creaked. I slipped inside. Didn't shut it. Pressed my back against the wall, right by the entrance. My heart was hammering in my chest. I could smell the wolves. They were in the camp now, tearing the tent to shreds, devouring my meager supplies. I dared to look into the depths of the cell. Darkness. But in that darkness, a silhouette. sitting, motionless. I could make out the curve of hips, long, dark hair, the faint glint of gold jewelry, a humanoid shape. She was watching me. She didn't move a muscle. The night dragged on. The sounds of the wolves faded away. Silence returned. A thick, heavy silence. I was trapped in there with her. Exhaustion finally won. I slumped against the wall, asleep. Dawn light filtered through the bars. I woke up. I was alive. I was still in the cell. I looked back into the dark. The silhouette was still there, still. I scrambled out of that cell, fast, didn't look back, ran straight for the wrecked camp. I gulped down the freezing morning air. I was alive. The question was burning a hole in my mind. What was in there? It wasn't an animal, not entirely. It wore jewelry. It had a human shape, and it hadn't killed me. Why? What was that thing? There was no food left. Nothing. I salvaged what I could. It started to rain. A cold drizzle that soaked right to the bone. Saw the water barrel, overturned and empty. I set it upright. One less problem. Hunger was a tight knot in my stomach. I grabbed the knife the guardian left me. Small, but sharp. I headed deeper into the mountain. The rain soaked everything. I'm no hunter. Hours passed. The cold bit at me. I was desperate. Then, movement. A hare, big. It paused just a few meters away. I grabbed a rock, hurled it with everything I had, hit it, stunned it. I ran up and finished it with the knife, fast, dirty. I didn't feel a thing, just relief. Today, we'd eat. I stumbled back to camp, soaked. The barrel was nearly full. Starting a fire in that rain was a battle. But I won. I skinned the hare. The smell of raw meat and blood. Skewered it over the flames. The scent of cooking meat was pure torture. When it was ready, I tore off a chunk. It was burning hot. But it wasn't for me. Not yet. I went to the cell. The door was still shut. I opened it. She was at the back. A silhouette in the darkness. She didn't move. I left the piece of meat on the stone floor, close to the bars. This time, she didn't lunge. She approached, slowly. Stepped out of the shadows. I saw her clearer than ever. Thick, mottled fur. Soft plush. The curves of her body. Athletic. Feminine. Gold jewelry glinting against her fur. She was beautiful. She wasn't a monster. She crouched to take the meat. Her hand, a soft paw with long, elegant fingers, reached toward mine. As she took the food, her fingers brushed mine. Her skin was warm. A soft, unexpected touch. She retreated with the meat. And then, she looked at me. Her green eyes locked onto mine. There was no threat, no malice. There was gratitude. A deep, silent thank you. She went to the back of the cell to eat. I closed the door. I stood there in the rain, still feeling the warmth of her hand on my fingers. Her eyes burned into my mind. She wasn't a beast. She was a captive, chained up, alone. And for the first time, I didn't feel fear. I felt an immense sadness. Who was she? Why was she here? Who did this to her? Weeks went by. Routine set in. I hunted. I cooked for her. We ate together, separated by those bars. She stopped hiding. She'd sit close, just watching me with those green eyes. Sometimes our hands brushed when I fed her. Her skin was warm, her fur thick, soft. I watched her move. Even with the chains, she had this grace. They couldn't hide it. An elegance that didn't belong in a cage. I started to wonder, should I free her? And what would happen then? She wasn't normal. They'd kill her, or worse. Every night, the same question. Every day, the same doubt. They arrived at noon. 2 men, the Khan's emissaries, brought a sack of coins and some supplies, dumped them on the ground. And then, they saw her. They started mocking her. Obscene shouts, laughter. She was getting nervous, shifting restlessly in the cell. One of them picked up a stone, threw it, hit the bars, then another and another. Enough, I said. I stepped in front of the cell. They laughed. They were bigger than me. They shoved me. One grabbed me by the throat, pinned me against the bars. I couldn't breathe. His face was inches from mine. He smelled of sour wine. Then, a flash of movement. A choked scream. The man holding me collapsed. A mottled furred claw retreated back into the cell. It was stained with blood. The other emissary just stared at me, in shock. I seized the moment, rushed him, shoved him with everything I had. He lost his balance, tipped backward, into the void. There was no scream, just the sound of the wind. Silence. I was shaking. I stared at the dead man on the ground, then at the cell. She was standing right by the bars, her eyes locked on mine. I grabbed the dead man's sword. Heavy. Opened the cell door, stepped inside. She didn't move. I approached her, raised the sword, struck the chains holding her to the wall, once, twice, 3 times. The metal gave way. Chains clattered to the floor. She was free. Let's go, I told her. I'll take you somewhere safe. She looked at me, and then she spoke. Her voice was deep, melodic, human. Take me to my territory, she said, where my kind live. I grabbed the cloak from the dead guard. It was big, deep hood, draped it over her. It hid her face, her body. She looked like a normal woman now, wrapped up against the cold. I grabbed my pack, what little was left, and we got out of there. Left behind the cage, the dead, the fear. We walked toward the horizon, her hand, soft, yet clawed, in mine, together. Let us know in the comments which of the channel's pending videos you want to see continued, most urgently. The most voted project gets all our resources to complete it and premiere it in our next launch. Your votes decide which story stays alive.